Before we begin today's story, welcome back to the channel. If you enjoy powerful stories filled with love, betrayal, revenge, and inspiring comebacks, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload. Now settle in, because today's story is one you won't forget. Imagine falling in love with the person you plan to spend the rest of your life with. Imagine having your dream career within reach. Then imagine waking up one day to discover that everything has been stolen from you. Your future, your reputation, your freedom, all because of a lie. This is the story of Ethan Adeyemi, a man who lost 15 years of his life to a crime he never committed, and the woman who refused to stop fighting for him. This is the verdict of betrayal. The year was 2005. The University of Lagos was buzzing with excitement as thousands of freshmen arrived to begin a new chapter of their lives. Among them was a young man named Ethan Adeyemi. He stepped onto campus carrying a worn-out suitcase and a heart full of dreams. Ethan came from a humble family. His father had spent most of his life teaching in public schools. His mother sold vegetables in a crowded local market. Money had always been scarce. Yet, through hard work and determination, Ethan had earned admission into one of the most respected law programs in the country. For his family, it was more than an achievement. It was hope. As Ethan walked across campus on his first day, dark clouds gathered overhead. Within minutes, rain began pouring from the sky. Students scattered in every direction. Trying to escape the downpour, Ethan hurried toward the Faculty of Law building. That was when it happened. He turned a corner and accidentally collided with someone. Books flew everywhere. Sheets of paper scattered across the wet pavement. "Goodness!" a female voice exclaimed. Ethan immediately dropped to his knees. "I'm so sorry." The young woman stared at him for a moment. Then she, not an angry laugh, a warm laugh. The kind that instantly made people feel comfortable. "Future lawyer, huh?" she teased. Ethan smiled nervously. "Future senior advocate." The girl extended her hand. "My name is Zara Bello." Ethan shook it. "Ethan Adeyemi." Neither of them knew it then, but that simple handshake would change their lives forever. Over the next few weeks, Ethan and Zara became friends, then close friends, then something more. They studied together, ate together, prepared for exams together. Whenever students saw one, the other was usually nearby. Their chemistry was impossible to ignore. While many relationships on campus were built on appearances, theirs was built on shared dreams. Both wanted to become lawyers. Both believed in justice. Both dreamed of using the law to help ordinary people. As the years passed, their bond only grew stronger. By their second year, they were officially dating. By their third year, everyone in the Faculty of Law knew them as the golden couple. Students often joked that if Ethan and Zara ever broke up, half the faculty would need counseling. The future seemed clear. Graduate, build successful careers, get married, live happily ever after. At least, that's what they believed. But fate had other plans, because somewhere nearby, another pair of eyes had begun watching Ethan, and those eyes belonged to Vanessa Okoro. Vanessa Okoro transferred into the law faculty during their second year. The moment she arrived, people noticed her. She was beautiful, elegant, confident, and incredibly intelligent. But Vanessa possessed something even more powerful: influence. Her father, Chief Gabriel Okoro, was one of the wealthiest businessmen in Nigeria. Money opened doors for Vanessa. It always had. She was accustomed to getting whatever she wanted. And when she first saw Ethan Adeyemi, she decided she wanted him. At first, she assumed it would be easy. Most men were eager to impress her. Most men chased her attention. Ethan did neither. He treated her politely, respectfully, but nothing more. The more he ignored her, the more fascinated she became. For the first time in her life, someone wasn't interested, and Vanessa hated losing. Weeks turned into months. Months turned into years. Still, Ethan remained devoted to Zara. No matter what Vanessa tried, she could not come between them. What began as attraction slowly transformed into obsession, and obsession eventually became something far darker. It happened during their final year. One evening after classes, Vanessa asked Ethan to meet her near the university gardens. When Ethan arrived, he immediately sensed something was wrong. Vanessa looked nervous, unusually nervous. "Ethan," she said softly, "there is something I've wanted to tell you for a long time." Ethan listened quietly. Vanessa took a deep breath. "I love you." Silence. The words hung heavily between them. For a moment, Ethan didn't know what to say. Then "Vanessa," she raised her hand. "Please, just let me finish." Tears began forming in her eyes. "I know you love Zara. I know that. But I needed you to know how I feel." Ethan felt sympathy for her, but not love. Never love. "Vanessa," he said gently, "you're an amazing person, but my heart belongs to Zara." The words were respectful, honest, kind. Yet they shattered something inside Vanessa. She forced a smile, pretended to understand, pretended everything was okay. But as Ethan walked away, her expression changed. The sadness disappeared. Replacing it was something colder, something dangerous. At that moment, Vanessa made a decision. If she couldn't have Ethan, no one would. 15 years later, one woman would stand in a courtroom and accuse Ethan of murder. One man would lose everything he had ever loved, and one shocking secret would remain buried for over a decade. But the truth has a way of surviving, even when people try to kill it. And in the next chapter, a murder, a betrayal, and a carefully planned trap will change everything. If you're enjoying this story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below telling us what you think Vanessa is planning. Do you believe Ethan and Zara will survive what's coming? Or is their love story about to become a tragedy? A quick recap if you started from the middle of the story. Ethan Adeyemi and Zara Bello met during their freshman year at the University of Lagos and quickly became inseparable. Their love grew stronger with every passing year, making them the envy of the entire faculty of law. But while Ethan and Zara were building a future together, another woman was silently watching from the shadows. Vanessa Okoro, beautiful, brilliant, wealthy, and obsessed. After Ethan gently rejected her confession of love, something inside Vanessa changed forever. Now, with graduation approaching and wedding bells on the horizon for Ethan and Zara, Vanessa has made a dangerous decision. If she cannot have Ethan, no one will. 3 years after graduation, life seemed to be unfolding exactly as Ethan and Zara had imagined. Ethan had secured a position at one of Lagos's most respected law firms. His reputation was growing rapidly. Clients admired his integrity. Senior partners praised his dedication. For the first time in his life, he could help support his parents financially. Meanwhile, Zara was making a name for herself as one of the brightest young attorneys in the country. Together, they looked unstoppable. One warm Saturday evening, Ethan took Zara to the beachfront where they had celebrated passing their final law exams years earlier. The sun was setting over the water. A soft breeze drifted across the shore. "Ethan," Zara laughed, "why are you acting so nervous?" Ethan smiled, then slowly dropped to one knee. Zara's eyes widened. From his pocket, Ethan pulled out a ring. "Zara Bello," his voice trembled, "you've been my best friend, my greatest blessing, and the love of my life." Tears filled Zara's eyes. "I can't imagine my future without you." He opened the ring box. "Will you marry me?" Zara burst into tears. "Yes!" Around them, strangers applauded. The couple embraced as the sun disappeared beyond the horizon. For Ethan and Zara, it felt like the beginning of forever. They had no idea someone was watching from a distance, someone whose heart was filling with rage. Vanessa. A week after the engagement announcement, Ethan received an unexpected phone call. The caller ID displayed a name he hadn't seen in months. Vanessa Okoro. Ethan hesitated before answering. "Hello?" Her voice sounded shaky. "Ethan, please don't hang up." "Vanessa? What's wrong?" "I need help." Ethan frowned. "Help with what?" "It's my father." Chief Gabriel Okoro, one of the wealthiest businessmen in Nigeria. "What happened?" "We had a terrible argument." She sounded as though she had been crying. "I'm scared, Ethan." Despite everything that had happened between them, Ethan's instincts as a lawyer kicked in. "Are you in danger?" "I don't know." The line went silent. Then Vanessa. "Please come." The call disconnected. Ethan stared at his phone. Something felt wrong, very wrong. That evening, Zara noticed Ethan's concern. "What's bothering you?" He explained everything. Zara immediately looked uneasy. "You shouldn't go alone." "It's probably nothing." "Maybe," she folded her arms. "But something about Vanessa makes me uncomfortable." "Ethan." "I know." "Then be careful." "I will." Those would become some of the last peaceful words they shared for many years. Rain pounded the streets of Lagos as Ethan drove toward the Okoro estate. The massive mansion stood at the end of a private road. Normally, security guards filled the property. Tonight, the place seemed strangely quiet. Ethan parked his car and approached the front door. No answer. He knocked again. Still nothing. The door slowly creaked open, unlocked. A chill ran down his spine. "Vanessa?" No response. The house was silent, too silent. "Ethan," a faint voice whispered somewhere inside. His heart raced. He followed the sound, down a hallway, past expensive paintings, toward the study. Then he saw it, and froze. Chief Gabriel Okoro lay motionless on the floor. Blood pooled beneath his body. His eyes stared blankly at the ceiling. Dead. Ethan staggered backward in shock. "Oh my God." Suddenly, a voice screamed behind him. "Ethan!" He turned. Vanessa stood in the doorway, her face twisted in terror. Then came another sound. Sirens. Police sirens. Growing louder, getting closer. Ethan's stomach dropped. Something wasn't right. Within moments, armed police officers stormed into the mansion. "Don't move!" Hands grabbed Ethan, forcing him to the floor. Handcuffs snapped around his wrists. "What are you doing?" Ethan shouted. "I didn't kill him." Nobody listened. Detectives searched the room. One officer emerged holding a knife, the apparent murder weapon. Another officer looked toward the lead detective. "Sir, we found fingerprints." The detective turned toward Ethan. A cold expression crossed his face. They belonged to him. Ethan's blood ran cold. What? You're under arrest for the murder of Chief Gabriel Okoro. This is insane! Vanessa collapsed to the floor. Ethan, why? The words struck him like a punch to the chest. In that instant, everything became clear. The phone call, the empty mansion, the unlocked door, the perfectly timed police arrival, the fingerprints, the knife, the tears. It had all been planned. Every second, every detail. Vanessa had set him up. But why? Before Ethan could speak, officers dragged him toward the waiting police vehicles. Outside, flashing lights illuminated the rain-soaked night. Journalists had already arrived. Cameras flashed. Microphones appeared. The media frenzy had begun. The next morning, the story dominated every newspaper in the country. Prominent young lawyer arrested for murder fiancé of attorney accused of killing billionaire. Shocking crime rocks Lagos. Television stations replayed footage of Ethan being led away in handcuffs. Public opinion shifted almost instantly. People who had praised him days earlier now condemned him. Social media exploded. Everyone had an opinion. Almost nobody believed his innocence. Inside a detention cell, Ethan sat alone, exhausted, confused, terrified. Then his lawyer arrived. Behind him stood Zara. The moment she saw Ethan, tears filled her eyes. Ethan. He rushed toward the glass partition. Zara, listen to me. I know. I didn't do this. I know. For the first time since his arrest, Ethan felt hope. At least one person still believed him. But elsewhere, Vanessa sat before television cameras, dressed in black, looking every bit like a grieving daughter. The interviewer asked gently, Miss Okoro, do you believe Ethan Adeyemi murdered your father? Vanessa lowered her head. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Then she whispered, I never wanted to believe it. The nation watched and believed every word. Late that night, after the interview ended, Vanessa returned to her mansion. The tears vanished instantly. The sadness disappeared. So did the grief. She walked into a private room and locked the door behind her. Inside stood a hidden safe. Vanessa entered a code. The door opened. From inside, she removed a small flash drive. On it was evidence. Evidence capable of proving Ethan's innocence. Evidence capable of exposing her. She stared at it, then smiled. A slow, chilling smile. Game over, Ethan. But unknown to Vanessa, someone was watching. Someone hidden in the shadows. Someone who had seen more than she realized. And that person was about to become the greatest threat to her carefully constructed lie. Ethan has been arrested. The nation believes he is a murderer. Vanessa's trap appears flawless, but every perfect crime contains one fatal mistake. And in the next chapter, the trial of the century begins. Witnesses will lie. Evidence will shock the courtroom. And a mysterious observer will emerge from the shadows with secrets that could destroy everything. If you're enjoying the Verdict of Betrayal, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. And tell me in the comments, do you think Ethan can prove his innocence, or has Vanessa created the perfect trap? Quick recap, guys, so you understand the story better. Previously on the Verdict of Betrayal, Ethan Adeyemi was arrested for the brutal murder of Chief Gabriel Okoro, the father of his fiancée, Vanessa Okoro. Despite his desperate claims of innocence, the evidence against him appeared overwhelming. Fingerprints, witness testimony, a staged crime scene, and the emotional collapse of Vanessa herself in front of the police. But behind closed doors, Vanessa was not grieving. She was hiding something, a secret that could destroy everything. And somewhere in the shadows, someone was watching her every move. Now, the most important trial of Ethan's life is about to begin. The High Court of Lagos was packed beyond capacity. Reporters filled every corner. Cameras lined the entrance. Crowds gathered outside the building, shouting headlines before the trial even began. Murder lawyer in court. The fall of a golden student. Inside the courtroom, Ethan sat in the dock, handcuffed, wearing a plain grey suit. Gone was the confident young lawyer everyone once admired. In his place was a man exhausted by betrayal. Across the room sat Zara Bello. Her eyes never left him. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. And then Vanessa walked in, dressed in black, a grieving daughter, a broken fiancé, the perfect image of innocence. But Ethan knew better. The judge entered. Everyone rose. "Be seated." Silence fell instantly. The prosecution stood. "Your Honor, this case is simple. A man, a house, a dead body, and overwhelming evidence linking the defendant to the crime." The courtroom murmured. The prosecutor continued. "The accused, Ethan Adeyemi, entered the residence of Chief Gabriel Okoro on the night of the murder. He was found alone with the body. His fingerprints were on the murder weapon, and multiple witnesses confirm he had prior tension with the victim." The judge turned slowly toward Ethan. "How does the defendant plead?" Ethan stood. His voice was steady, but cold. "Not guilty." A wave of whispers spread through the courtroom. The prosecution called its first witness, Vanessa Okoro. The room went silent. Even the air felt heavier. She walked slowly to the stand, wiping tears from her eyes. She swore an oath, then sat down. The prosecutor asked gently, "Miss Okoro, please tell the court what happened on the night of your father's death." Vanessa lowered her head. Her voice trembled. I called Ethan because I was scared. I told him my father and I had argued. I didn't know what else to do." She paused, then continued. "When he arrived, I found him standing over my father's body." Gasps filled the courtroom. Zara clenched her fists. Ethan shook his head slowly. "That's a lie," he whispered, but no one heard him. The prosecutor leaned forward. "Did the accused say anything to you?" Vanessa wiped a tear. "Yes." "What did he say?" Her voice broke. "He said my father deserved it." The courtroom erupted. Zara stood instantly. "Objection!" The judge raised his hand. "Sustained. Calm down, counsel." But the damage was done. Public opinion shifted again. Even inside the courtroom, doubt grew stronger. Zara stood for cross-examination. Her voice was firm, controlled, but emotional. "Miss Okoro," she began, "you say you saw Ethan standing over your father's body?" "Yes." "Yet no blood was found on his clothes." Vanessa hesitated. "The body was already moved," she replied softly. Zara stepped closer. "And you were the first person to call the police?" "Yes." Zara paused, then asked the question that changed everything. "Miss Okoro, how did you know exactly when to arrive?" A murmur spread through the courtroom. Vanessa froze for half a second, then recovered. I was inside the house." Zara narrowed her eyes. "But earlier you said you were outside when you called Ethan." Silence. Vanessa's breathing changed, just slightly, but enough. Ethan noticed it. For the first time in days, hope flickered in his chest. Outside the courtroom, a man stood watching through the glass doors. Older, calm, dressed in a plain suit. No one noticed him, but he was not there by accident. His name was Solomon, a former constitutional lawyer, and the man who had been guiding Ethan from prison through secret legal correspondence. He whispered to himself, "Good, she's slipping." Inside the courtroom, Vanessa sat back down. For the first time, her composure was breaking. Just slightly, but Zara saw it, and so did Ethan. The defense requested permission to submit new evidence. The courtroom stirred. The judge frowned. "What kind of evidence?" Zara stood. "A video recording, Your Honor." Vanessa's face tightened. For the first time, fear appeared in her eyes. The judge nodded. "Play it." The screen in the courtroom flickered to life. At first, static. Then, a clear image. Chief Gabriel Okoro, alive, sitting at his desk, talking on the phone. The courtroom leaned forward. Then the voice came through the speakers. Vanessa's voice, calm, cold. "I told you, Father, you will not control my life anymore." Gasps erupted instantly. Vanessa stood abruptly. "Stop it!" But the video continued. Chief Gabriel replied, "If you continue like this, I will expose everything." Silence. Then Vanessa's voice again, lower, dangerous. "Then you leave me no choice." The video ended. The courtroom exploded. Reporters shouted. Lawyers stood. The judge banged his gavel repeatedly. "Order! Order!" But nothing could stop what had already happened. The truth had entered the room. Vanessa stared at the screen. Her hands were shaking. Zara walked slowly toward the stand. "You killed your father, didn't you?" Vanessa whispered, "No," but her voice lacked strength. Ethan stood for the first time in days. His voice cut through the courtroom like a blade. "Tell them." Silence. Everyone waited. Vanessa's breathing became uneven. The perfect mask she had worn for years began to crack. And then she screamed, "You don't understand what he was going to do to me." The courtroom froze. Silence fell instantly. Even the judge leaned forward. Vanessa trembled. "He was going to destroy me, everything I built." Tears streamed down her face. "But I didn't want to kill him." A pause. Then the truth slipped out. "I only wanted him to stop." The courtroom erupted again. The judge ordered Vanessa taken into custody immediately. Officers moved toward her. She turned one last time toward Ethan. Her voice broke. "You were never supposed to survive this." Ethan said nothing. Zara stood beside him, watching, breathing heavily. The woman who had destroyed their lives was finally being led away. But as Vanessa passed the exit doors, she smiled. Just once. A small, chilling smile, as if this was not the end. The courtroom has turned. The truth is beginning to surface. But Vanessa's smile suggests something deeper is still hidden. Something worse is coming. And in the next chapter, the final twist will reveal who truly controlled everything from the beginning. Not just Vanessa, but someone else entirely. If you're enjoying The Verdict of Betrayal, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And comment below, do you think Vanessa acted alone? Or is someone else behind everything? Recap. Previously on The Verdict of Betrayal, the courtroom exploded when a hidden video revealed Vanessa Okoro confessing, indirectly, to the murder of her own father. The nation watched in shock as the perfect case against Ethan Adeyemi collapsed in real time. For the first time in 15 years, the truth seemed within reach. Vanessa was arrested. The system that destroyed Ethan began to fall apart. But just as the case reached its breaking point, something strange happened. Vanessa smiled. Not in defeat, not in regret, but like someone who knew something no one else did. And that smile changed everything. That night, Vanessa Okoro sat alone in a high-security holding cell. No tears, no panic, just silence. A detective stood outside her cell. "You should cooperate," he said. "This is over." Vanessa slowly lifted her head and smiled faintly. "Over?" she repeated. The detective frowned. "Yes, you've lost." Vanessa leaned closer to the bars. "No," she whispered. "I only lost the part you were allowed to see." The detective's expression hardened. "What does that mean?" But Vanessa said nothing more. She simply leaned back and closed her eyes, as if she was waiting, not for judgment, but for something else entirely. 2 days later, Ethan was released from custody on bail, pending final sentencing of Vanessa's trial. The moment he stepped outside the courthouse, cameras exploded around him. Flashlights, voices, questions. "Ethan, how does it feel to be free? Do you forgive Vanessa? Will you sue the state?" But Ethan said nothing. He didn't look at the cameras. He looked at Zara. She stood a few steps away, tears in her eyes. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then Ethan finally whispered, "It still doesn't feel real." Zara nodded. "I know." But Ethan's expression darkened slightly. Zara frowned. "What do you mean?" Ethan looked back at the courthouse. "She didn't break easily." A pause. "She wanted us to see that video." Zara hesitated. "You think there's more?" Ethan nodded slowly. "I think we only saw what she allowed us to see." That evening, Zara returned to her office. She couldn't sleep, couldn't rest. Something about the case didn't feel complete, so she reopened every file, every piece of evidence, every report. Hours passed. Then suddenly, she found it. A hidden transaction buried deep in financial records tied to Chief Gabriel Okoro's estate. A transfer made the night before his death. Zara froze. "This doesn't make sense." She traced the account. It led to a shell company, then another, and finally, a name. Not Vanessa, not Ethan, but someone no one had questioned. A man who had been in the courtroom from the very beginning. A man who had testified briefly during preliminary hearings. A forensic consultant. Dr. Kelvin Marks. Zara's breath slowed. She whispered, "No, this can't be." But the deeper she looked, the clearer it became. The fingerprints? Verified by him. The timeline reconstruction? Prepared by him. The evidence chain? Handled by him. Zara stood up slowly, her hands shaking, and realized the horrifying truth. The entire case had been guided, not by Vanessa alone, but by someone who knew exactly how to make innocence look guilty. The next morning, Zara and Ethan confronted the prosecution office. Ethan placed the files on the table. "This isn't just about Vanessa," he said. "This is about who built the case." The room went silent. Zara spoke firmly. "Dr. Kelvin Marks controlled the forensic evidence from day one." A senior prosecutor frowned. "That's impossible. He's one of the most respected experts in the country." Ethan's voice hardened. "Exactly." Silence. Then everything clicked. Respected, trusted, untouchable. The perfect position for manipulation. That evening, investigators raided Dr. Kelvin Marks's private office. What they found shocked the nation. encrypted files, altered reports, and communication logs between him and Vanessa Okoro. But also another name, a political figure, someone with enough power to control courts, influence media, and bury evidence for years. Chief Justice Emmanuel Adisa, the courtroom legend, the man who once praised Ethan's academic brilliance, the man who had overseen the early stages of the trial, the man who had quietly ensured certain evidence never reached the defense. Zara whispered in disbelief. This wasn't a murder case. Ethan finished the sentence. It was a system. The second trial was unlike anything the country had ever seen. Not just Vanessa, not just Dr. Kelvin Marks, but a collapsing network of corruption stretching across judiciary and politics. One by one, witnesses broke down, confessions emerged, hidden deals surfaced. The courtroom became a battlefield of truth, and at the center of it all stood Ethan Adeyemi, not as a victim anymore, but as the symbol of everything the system tried to destroy and failed. Before sentencing, Vanessa was given one final chance to speak. She stood slowly, no makeup, no performance, just truth. I didn't start this, she said quietly. I was only the part of the story you could see. She looked at Ethan. I loved you in a way that destroyed me. A pause, then softer. But I was never the one in control. Silence filled the courtroom. Then she added something unexpected. The truth you're celebrating today was allowed to surface. Zara frowned. Ethan narrowed his eyes. What do you mean? The judge asked. Vanessa smiled faintly. Some truths are not discovered. They are released. And then she sat down. No explanation. No resistance. Outside the courthouse, Solomon, the elderly lawyer who had guided Ethan from the shadows, stood alone. Zara approached him. You knew, she said quietly. Solomon didn't deny it. I suspected. Ethan stepped forward. Suspected what? Solomon sighed. That this case was never just about Vanessa. He looked at both of them. It was about control. A long silence followed. Then Ethan asked the question that changed everything. Who released the truth? Solomon looked at him calmly and answered. Someone who no longer needed the system intact. Months later, the nation had changed. Corrupt officials were gone. Trials were being reopened. Reforms had begun. And Ethan and Zara stood outside a newly established Justice Reform Center. A young man walked out, recently exonerated after years in prison. His family ran to him, crying. Ethan watched quietly. Zara stood beside him. After a long silence, she asked, Do you think it's over? Ethan looked at the sky, then shook his head. No. A pause. Justice is never over. He turned to her. But maybe it finally has a chance. They stood together as the camera slowly pulled back. Not as victims, not as survivors, but as proof that even the deepest betrayal cannot bury the truth forever. In life, some battles are not fought in courtrooms, but in silence, in lies, in systems built to protect the wrong people. But truth, no matter how long it is buried, always finds its way back. And when it does not ask for permission. It delivers its verdict. Hope you enjoyed the verdict of betrayal. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And comment below, was justice truly served, or was this only the beginning of a deeper truth? Until next time, I remain your humble storyteller, Oluwatina. Bye, my loves.